Ready to go live. Oh, we're on a wonk.
Yeah, I'm just sorting that out.
Well, the house has slipped.
Speak to the people.
Oh.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, we've got a problem with the house. It's kind of like, ooh. And there we go.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Must be subsidence.
It's subsiding some sort.
Go.
Okay, with 20 seconds, and we have people. Hello, good evening, everybody.
Yeah, on schedule.
I'm very impressed by people's timeliness. Actually,
punctuality must be bored.
Must be like, oh, there's nothing else to do. What should we do? I know, 7 o'clock. Let's listen to Jude and Pam and watch the doggy for 45 minutes and see whether we can read anything from this conversation.
Exactly. Hi, Tom. Hi, Woodsy.
Hello, Woodsy. Hello, Tom.
We haven't said it yet. So it's Thursday.
It's 7 o'clock.
What else are you going to be doing? Clearly nothing.
It's wine time.
Hi, Jane and Felicity. Queen for vegan.
Vegan green.
Yeah.
Greeny vegan.
Saying you right. Finn is eating carrots this evening.
To be fair, he does love carrots.
He does.
And they are organic carrots.
Yes, that's true.
They are.
Even better. Hello, Clarky and Bob. Here we are. Look, just to prove how much Finn likes carrots.
He loves them.
He loves a carrot.
In fact, his dog loves broccoli. Raw broccoli.
Basically, anything that you eat in front of him, he'll eat.
Yeah.
But if you give him a piece of broccoli and you haven't eaten it, he'll take it and then just spit it
He's like a baby, actually. If you go, yum, he'll eat it.
Yeah.
You stupid.
He
doesn't like Brussels sprouts, I have to say. No, it's cabbage. He does like Brussels sprouts.
Nor avocado.
Doesn't like Brussels sprouts.
Bonsoir, Luke and Simon. Hello, Kerry. Right, everybody. So, we've just
still on dry January officially. I suppose
I was just checking the date because it's the 28th of January.
Can you believe it, everybody? Everybody who's joining it, can you believe that there are people that are not joining us intentionally because they are attempting to do dry January?
That's all right. It's a good thing.
And come 1st of February, they're going to watch these vids and get absolutely smashed.
A spell of abstinence is not a bad thing. So I'm just going to bob you back.
I had mine last night, actually.
What, your dry January? One evening doesn't count. Anyway, and you had a glass of wine.
It was the night before, maybe.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Nice to see you all.
We have a slightly messy backdrop, but simply because we're partway through a 1,000-piece jigsaw of an oil painting of Paul Perot. The things have got desperate here in Wimbledon. So excuse the slightly messy backdrop. Finn, what are you doing? Look up, Finn. Don't look sad. Look up. There's a good boy.
Well, actually, no, to be fair, we have been incredibly busy this January. We have been incredibly busy. And you kind of think, oh, God, is this going to carry on? Is this going to carry on? Is the lockdown going to carry on? No, it's not. It's not going to carry on. We will get back to being normal in January, go on holiday and what have you, and do nothing. That's where we want to be.
Not this January, though.
No.
So without further ado, the wines we've got 2 red vegan wines this evening.
Yeah.
Our lovely Adaras Aldea, which is Spanish, and the Sumo Champigny, which is from France.
I like the label contrast of these wines.
both good funky labels. Now, let's go. If you're gonna just taste one at a time, we're gonna suggest we taste the Aldea first. However, even better, taste them alongside and pour 2 glasses because it's nearly the end of dry January.
Yay!
But we're going to just pour a little bit of the old Adaras Aldea to start with, and then talk to you a little bit about why fermented grape juice might not be vegan.
Yeah, I'll just mention that about. So we've opened both of these wines alongside each other, and tasted the yellow label, the Sumo Champigny first, which is actually quite tight. Really quite tight, which is what you expect with a Cabernet Franc when you've just opened it. And then just tasted the Adaras Tinto, which is actually a lot more fruity and a lot more giving. But if you go straight back to the yellow label Sumo Champigny, you will notice actually how smooth it becomes. Just that sort of like instant, moment from changing from one wine to the next. You get that smoothness. So again, never dismiss the first wine. I have to say, actually, when we go to trade tastings and what have you, It is an absolute known thing. Or even, in fact, when we do our normal tasting
real
events,
life
events where we have, 20 odd wines set up, we know that wine number 1 always gets ignored. Always gets ignored. It's the hardest one. It's the hardest one.
Like
you either start with a big boom of a wine, or it comes over too acidic, or it comes over just. And basically, it's
a palate cleanser, isn't it?
It's a palate cleanser, and it's a tricky one in actual fact. Tricky. Don't know what to say about that.
Actually, I was just looking at the comments here, and Luke and Simon have, or in fact, Simon, should I say, and Luke,
He's
have got the canapé sorted. Now, I hope people have tried this canapé, and if you haven't, do try it, because I'm actually a big fan of tofu. It's just a potato in another form. It is a thing that has a texture and will carry flavour, but doesn't have a huge amount of flavour in its own right. Yeah. And when it's crisped up in this way, it goes really nice and crunchy, like the best fry you've ever had.
Yeah.
And
that's the best bit.
And the lovely mush gives it a kind of meaty texture and flavour on top. So well done, Simon and Luke, for making it, and thank you, Luke.
Yeah, it was kind of my revelation as well, that actually that tofu, just really a little bit like rice and quinoa and bulgur wheat and all these things, that they don't really have an awful lot of flavour, and it's actually what you do is how you manipulate them to sort of draw out the best of them, because tofu in isolation really doesn't taste of anything. No,
and the reason, and it's that much less appealing because it's a kind of wet.
But when you put your Asian plum sauce on, fantastic.
Voila.
And especially the crispy bit in the sort of olive oil. Lovely, lovely.
Well, anyway, wine and food born to go together. And that canapé, because the mushroom is quite meaty and rich with all these sort of umami, the soy and everything, I think it's a really good combo with these wines. So good job. And if you haven't done it, go and do it, because it doesn't take long. It's a really easy one.
Okay, so here we are in 2021.
Oh yeah,
here we are in 2021. This is our second lockdown live event of the new year. And next month, out of dry January into spicy February.
Spice up your life.
So don't miss next Thursday evening if you like your curries and your Indian curries and your Sri Lankans and all that nonsense. Because we are going to do 2 fabulous wines that go so amazingly well with Indian food. And that is Spice Up Your Life next Thursday, 7 o'clock.
The Goan mussels, which are particularly what we've tried the wines with, and works brilliantly. I put the recipe on the website already. It's super simple. It's so simple. Just go and buy some really nice fresh moule, and it takes 20 minutes from chopping the onion to eating. So it's so simple and really goes well with both wines.
Yeah. Careful of those moule though.
So just before, obviously, cheers everybody.
Cheers everybody.
Cheers, happy Thursday. We are on the Adaras Aldea.
Okay.
But whilst we're still rubbishing on, and we haven't actually got to the actual subject yet.
We've done it.
I want to tell you about another bit of Fin news.
Oh, Fin news.
So Fin, I think, has
Fin was introduced to some new phenomenon this week.
Yes, is that what I'm just about to say?
Yes.
Yeah. So and there isn't actually a word to describe it. So I'm going to task you with coming up with one, because obviously we all probably experienced the snow, or hopefully we all experienced the snow on Sunday. And when I took him out for his Monday morning walk, we got into one of the fields where we walk, and there were these three-tier snowmen stood there in the corner, a nice little family of snowmen, and he was petrified. He wouldn't go anywhere near them. He sort of circled around them, and I was up, patting the bloody things. And he wouldn't go anywhere near. And eventually he did. And actually, I've got a little picture to show you, to show him conquering.
Here we go. Hannibal Brown's dog indulgence.
Okay, here we go. Like a big, brave soldier. Oops, there he is. Conquering the fear with his best friend, Poppy. I'm going to make this bigger.
There we go. Well done, big guy.
What a good boy. There we go. But initially, he wouldn't go near them. So he's a big wuss. And anyway, there's not a word for fear of snowmen. So do kind of come up with one whilst
what's
think about
fear
it.
of snow?
Chionophobia, which is something Russian, Greek. Or
okay, so we need the fear of dogs snowman phobia.
Whatever. Anyway, something to think
thing.
about it. So here we are talking about vegan wines. Now, Pam, why would a wine not be vegan or vegetarian?
Well, it's the question actually. You know, I sound like a politician here actually.
Well,
The question is,
directly.
when is a wine not vegan? At what point does a wine become non-vegan?
Yes, I think that's basically the question I just asked you, yeah.
But politically, I had to change it around a little bit.
Okay, so shall I answer? Otherwise, we're never going to get onto the wines.
So the simplicity is that, as we all know, because we know everybody knows how to make wine these days. So in go the grapes, and what happens? Nothing. There's a catalyst, and the catalyst is the yeast in the atmosphere that triggers the fermentation. Bish bash bosh. What happens? The fermentation converts all the natural sugar in the grapes into alcohol. So far, so good.
Yeah,
so far, we're still vegan.
Just great.
So far, we're still vegan.
Even fruitarian, I think, potentially.
Indeed. But of course, what happens is that I suppose industry kicks in, or the market kicks in, and the need for wines to be beautifully clear and clarified and sort of, you know, like fresh and appealing, what have you. And of course, you know, at this point of the fermentation, or the end of the fermentation process, you've still got the excesses of the yeast, you've still got excesses of tannins, tartrates knocking about in there. They're all completely sound and safe and what have you, and there's absolutely no problem drinking cloudy wine, but it's just not very marketable,
not so appealing to on your supermarket shelf.
Exactly. And I suppose actually the biggest area in wine these days, that is, well, the only part of the wine industry that is growing substantially is rosé. And rosé in particular, you wouldn't want to drink a rosé wine that was cloudy. I don't think I've ever drunk a rosé wine that's cloudy.
We would have tasted them in
of course.
But none of them made the list, right?
Yeah. And so it's really, really, really critically important to actually sort of find all that cloudiness out of the wines and make them beautifully clean. And that is where the non-vegan elements come along. Okay,
so there are agents used in the filtration and fining process, is what we're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that can be anything from
albumin, which is found in egg whites, with egg whites basically.
Yeah, exactly. Bentonite, which is a form of clay, which is fantastic again for binding.
A bit more vegan, that one, probably. A bit less animal producty.
A bit more vegan. Casein, which is
gelatin product.
Again, it's animal based.
Isinglass, which is fish guts.
Fish guts,
found in fish guts,
ground fish bones, brilliant for fining and filtration. Of filtration more than fining. But essentially, what we're trying to do is get all those nasty those compounds, I suppose, that are byproducts of fermentation out of the wine, so that you've got this beautifully clear wine. The thing is, though, I suppose, before we go into this, in actual fact, the process of filtration and fining. If you think about it, if you filter anything, you're actually filtering out character and concentration.
Potentially flavour.
So arguably, actually, it's better to have a filtered wine. And you do often see this on labels now. It's rare to see a wine that says filtered or vegan. You don't often see that.
No, not necessarily. Yeah.
But it's becoming available that you can see wines that say unfiltered. And that means, okay, unfiltered. Literally, they have not been filtered.
So that's your go-to. If you're not vegan,
like unfiltered wines, because it means that they're actually the concentration is still sort of intact, and the wine hasn't been stripped of anything.
Yeah, fair enough. And if you are vegan and you want to try and make sure the wine you're drinking is vegan, and you've got no one to ask, for example, you know, the lady on the checkout at Sainsbury's probably won't be able to help. If it says unfiltered, then there's a good chance that it's vegan. That's pretty much, in the filtration is pretty much the only part of the winemaking process that uses animal products, and still then they're removed. You're not consuming them because it's removed from the wine. With the second wine, the Saumur Champigny, this is also biodynamic. Now, some biodynamic wines, they have got animal products used within the production. really natural. I mean, we'll talk about biodynamics in a bit, but really, really natural. However, if you're a real purist, then that's going to be something you need to look for as well. Yeah. But that aside, there's plenty of other non-animal products that can be used to do this job. So Pam mentioned the clay. Yeah. Charcoal is a brilliant filter.
Yeah. Or even just a stainless steel mesh.
Yeah. So mechanical filtration.
Mechanical filtration. That is. I mean, that is basic filtration, which is kind of hugely used now. And in actual fact, if you look at our wine range on the Hannibal Brown website, probably, to be honest, I did ask Jude earlier on how many of our wines are vegan. We reckon probably 50% at least. I suspect probably more like 70%. But a considerable number, because it is just a filtration process. That's all it is. And it doesn't really matter. Remember that if wines are using animal additives in their fining or filtration, remember, they're not still in the wine. They are actually taken out. But there may be, obviously, traces.
Well, I think the point is
they have been used, which deems them non-vegan.
Yeah.
But none of those components sort of still in the wine. It's very important to say that actually they're not in the wine. They have actually been drawn out. They are just a process. They're added to help the
to make it a product that you want to buy.
Yeah.
But there are other ways
around
around
it. An additive. It's not an additive.
No, that is just used in the process.
Yeah.
We have a genuine Frenchman join us.
Ooh la la!
Jean-Claude.
Salut Jean-Claude.
Indeed, we are celebrating a Summer Champigny, which is a fine Cabernet from the Loire. But first of all, we're actually on a Spanish wine. So that was our words on vegan wines. And obviously on our website, you can see all of our wines that are categorized as vegan. Yeah. And also, I know of a website which is called Barnivore, barnivore.com, like carnivore, but with a B. And on there, you can type in many, many wine names, and it'll let you know if they are or aren't vegan. It doesn't have every single wine in the world, but it's certainly a good go-to. You can always email us or send us a text or something. We'll try and help. So on to the Adaras Tinto. We won't sit on this too long because we have shown this wine before, but it is a really nice starter.
It is. In fact, the lovely thing about this wine is actually the fruit. And the fruit is kind of like, is driven by the two grape varieties which come together, which is Syrah and Garnacha Tintorera, or Tintorero. Can never remember. But they do these blends actually just produce these wines of nice fruit. I like the lightness of this wine as well. It's almost like, it kind of makes me think, okay, it was 15 degrees today in London, which is lovely. And somebody just said, oh, it feels like spring. Well, it didn't really feel like spring at all. But it is a little bit warmer, and it does make me think, actually, this is a lovely wine to have slightly chilled, again, because it's got fruit, not too many tannins, so you can have this slightly chilled. Or just cool, and the fruit is just really nice and kind of like crispy.
Yeah, not too sweet, and goes really well with a kind of nice savoury canapé.
Yeah.
So a quick word, Garnacha Tintorera. It's not Grenache, which makes it a little bit different. It's actually Alicante Boucher is another name for it. You know, the Spanish have 100 names for each grape variety. So
don't get her started.
Alicante Boucher is a grape whose one of its parents is Grenache, so it's kind of associated with Grenache, which is why it has that lovely soft fruit and lends itself quite well to drinking a little bit cooler
and not much colour.
And not too much colour.
Yes.
And this winery, Venta la Vega, who are in Almansa in Spain, and I'll get up a map in just a sec.
Oh yes.
This winery have the largest planting of Alicante Boucher in the whole of Europe. So there you go, a claim to fame. Hi, Claire. Nice to see you joining us. Right. Oops, sorry. There's Finn and Ruby and Poppy. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get you. Here is the map of Spain. Let me just check.
Just in case nobody knew it. I hope everybody's been watching University Challenge. We should all know this.
Okay, we should know that this is Spain. That's for sure. So this wine is from Almansa. Now, just to put things into perspective from a wine regions in Spain position, the orange bit up in the north, that's Rioja. Okay, we've all heard of Rioja. Yeah. Lovely. You've got Down on the purple bit on the east, that you can see an arrow pointing to Valencia, which we've probably all been to. We played hockey in Valencia, 45-degree heat last year or the year before.
Digressing.
Anyway, and the yellow bit, that big yellow expanse, which a lot of it is virtual desert, isn't it?
The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plains.
And that is the plain, La Manca.
Yeah.
And just, if I can zoom in, and I'm not sure if you can see this or not, there is Almansa just down to the southeast of La Manca. And it's actually the most eastern wine region in La Manca.
It's a hot adaria, hot area, which is great, though, that they've actually managed to produce a wine with really nice fruit character. And it is because this Garnacha Tintorero and also the Syrah component are actually really, they perform well at when the temperature is quite high.
Yeah. So
they're not too affected, they're quite robust. So they can produce enough acidity, but they can also get this like really nice fruit coming out of their wines. Love it. Love it.
So this is vegan and actually certified vegan. It's actually got it on the label, which is kind of unusual for a lot of wines because
why has it got houses on it?
It's just probably because it's the village of yeah. I don't know that bit. So, and it's organic as well, and it's certified organic. So this producer has gone a long way to say, do you know what, we want people to know that we are producing cleanly, that we want this to be available to vegans and vegetarians. We want it to be obvious what our wine's all about, apart from with the front label, which is just a nice bunch of houses. So there we go. If you like a nice soft fruity style wine, which will go with an awful lot of different food types, amusingly, when you look at any of the tasting notes of these wines, it says, goes brilliantly with meat and cheese and fish dishes and There's nothing about vegan options. So,
no, sorry about that. Spot the vegan around us. Well, he's not a vegan.
But he is eating carrots this evening.
He is.
Loves a carrot.
Right then.
Right, so on to the Saumur Champigny, because this is a whole new world.
No, and we have Jean-Claude here. God, we're really under the cosh here. We've got a Frenchman watching.
Maybe
listening.
You could do the French
translation. Thank you very much, Jean-Claude. He appreciates that us British appreciate good wine, and we do. We've been here, Jean-Claude, since March last year doing these lockdown lives. So you're very welcome to be here this evening. Please feel free to interact with all those people. They'll make you feel welcome. But every Thursday, 7 o'clock. But just a reminder, we are going hell for leather with DIY tasting kits being sent out to people's homes across the nation and across Europe. So if you fancy doing a DIY tasting kit for yourselves, or with sort of, multiple households, they are a great way to getting households together on a Saturday evening or a Monday evening or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or basically whenever you haven't got anything else to do.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's basically a bit like doing a quiz but drinking wine, and the quiz being vaguely about the wine.
And we do have a special DIY tasting kit coming out because I'm not sure I can remember.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's is coming up. We never sell wine at Valentine's.
No, but we never sell wine.
But we're going to give it a go this year. So there is a special DIY tasting kit for your Valentine, which involves bubbly, of course, rosé, of course, and chocolat.
And a really nice big warming red to wrap round gem when you need a nice cozy moment at the end of the evening.
Okay,
so there we go.
So if you're still speaking to your dearly beloved, then do give our Valentine's.
If you can bear, you could always sit in different rooms in Zoom. That might make a nice change. So right, here we go. Moving to France.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay. So
who's heard of Saumur Champigny?
Well, I have.
Apart from you would have, and even I have. Finn's probably heard us mention it a few times.
Just before we start talking about the wine, though, because my most wonderful memory of Saumur, and anybody who's actually had an opportunity to go to the Loire Valley or hasn't, do go, because the region around Saumur, which is literally on the banks of the river, has the biggest troglodyte community, I think, possibly in Europe, definitely in France, possibly in Europe, maybe even the world.
Sure. Does this require fact checking?
These are Saumur is a town, and the Saumur Champigny is relevant to the region around Saumur. Yeah, go on, grab that. Just let's get this out, because this is really interesting, everybody. Here comes an amazing fact, and it's all built on chalk. Now, this chalk, come on, Jude, help me out here.
There's
There's Chinon, there it
this
is.
is Saumur. I'm going to zoom out there.
There's the
This is
National.
Loire Valley.
Where's the river? There it is.
Do you need me to zoom in?
Ah, no, that's fine. Okay,
Yeah.
so you can see Saumur there. Okay, it's all basically it's built on a very special chalk, and now this chalk had been mined for thousands of years, and largely actually more recently was used to build the beautiful chateau along the Loire Valley.
Mm-hmm.
But all that quarrying and all that mining left great opportunities for people to basically dwell. These are the cave dwellers, and it is the largest cave dwelling area in France. So
and are these sort of hippie communes, or are they?
No. These people actually live here. There are restaurants you can go to, and the restaurants deeper. Some of them are like over a kilometre long. So these are massive, great chalk pits. They are huge chalk. They are troglodytes. They are available as B&Bs. There's loads of B&Bs. And those that aren't dwelled in, actually, and we talked about mushrooms earlier on, a lot of them are used for growing mushrooms because, as we all know, mushrooms are better growing in the dark.
Okay.
But I remember going into one of these, and it was huge, a massive thing. This was I literally just walked into this. This wasn't a dwelling. It was just literally a chalk pit on the side of the banks of the Loire.
Cool.
It is a really it's a phenomenon which is fascinating. So if you have been, then you probably know what I'm talking about. If you haven't been, Google it, and you will want to go sometime in 2021.
Become a troglodyte.
It's all about troglodytes. Yeah.
So live in a cave in the dark, drinking lots of lovely
But the
wine.
wonderful thing about these caves, though, is that they, just like where we keep our wines, perfectly cellared wines, perfect temperatures all the year round. So actually, really rather nice.
If you just really rather nice for your wine, but
good for you as well. Yeah. Don't have to put your heating in.
That's true. What about in the winter?
Oh well, maybe. Anyway,
there we go. There's
Saumur.
Interesting. That's a Pam's job done for Tourism de Loire.
Yeah, I know. I should be paid, shouldn't I? And they make rather nice wine as well.
And they make very nice wine. And
Let's
you think
talk
of the
about
Loire, one thinks of the Loire. When one thinks of the Loire, one thinks of Blancety Blanc. So actually, I'm just going to zoom out on this map.
One thinks of Chenin Blanc. The home of Chenin Blanc.
Indeed, although most people probably think of Sauvignon Blanc.
I know, but it's Chenin Blanc as well. It's the home of Chenin Blanc.
So the Loire Valley, just a quick bit of geography.
It's huge. It's huge, isn't it, Jude?
There's
huge.
Massive. There on the west coast is it starts at Nantes, essentially, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then travels all the way east to pretty much the middle of France.
Yeah.
And you see on the map there the little green area to the far east of that, and that's basically Sancerre. Yeah. And that whole valley is about 800 kilometers long. It's
a biggie.
Massive.
It's a biggie.
But
it's the third biggest area in France, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Area.
Yeah, third biggest by volume.
Everybody knows the biggest one, don't they?
Surely.
We'll see,
have they been listening? Let us know if you've been listening.
And the second biggest.
And
now we're on the third biggest.
So this probably produces more wine than is produced in Australia, just in the Loire itself.
Yeah.
As we always use Australia as a sort of barometer. So that little red region in the middle is the area around Saumur and the area where the red wines generally come from.
Yeah.
So you'll also see red wines, famous red wines from the Loire, not just Saumur Champigny, but also Chinon.
Yep.
Chinon.
Yep. Also a little region.
And Bourgogne.
Yep.
Which is like a word with way too many vowels.
Yeah. But actually, I like this label. So quite a traditional label, other than it's bright yellow. I like the use of this colour. But I like this label because you've got the name of the producer. His name is what's his name? Thierry Germain. Mm-hmm. You've got the name of the chateau or the domaine de Roches Neuves, and you've got the name of the region it comes from, Saumur Champigny. I mean,
helpful label.
My God, what more do you need?
And it tells you on the back that it's a biodynamic.
And it tells you it's an organic and biodynamic wine at the back. I mean, this guy's got it absolutely bang on.
And actually the wine's pretty damn good too. So.
Yeah, so much deeper colour than the first one. And I just find this wine to be a lot more smooth. So it was quite tight when we first opened it. But if you've moved from the Spanish wine to the French wine, I think you'll notice the smoothness. And certainly if you've got the tofu and mushroom Asian soy thingy, vegan canopy, I think that would have gone beautifully with the Adaras Tinto. I'm not sure how we go with this, and we haven't got it with us.
I think it will go. We had to make it in advance because I needed to test the recipe before making you cook it. So
important to say though. So this wine's made of.
Oh, don't say which grape it is. I'm going to ask them.
All right, this wine's made of grapes. I'm not allowed to tell you which ones.
Go. Which grape? Go on, which grape? In the Loire Valley, there is one main red grape variety.
There is.
And we might have already told you what it is. So if you were listening, then you get the opportunity. But which is the red grape that this wine is made from? And for now, Pam will just refer to it as the grape.
The grape. So this particular grape is similar to another grape. But it does. Characterization is actually, it can have this sort of slight tightness to it, which often is a bit of a turn off when you first open it, but they do need to sort of like release. And this is a perfect example of wine that actually would really, really benefit. This particular grape variety benefits from decanting. I cannot mention that enough. It probably better not being too cool, because again, it has that propensity to tighten. So you don't want this to be too cool. You don't want it to be too warm either. But actually, I think this smoothness is lovely. And also, Thierry Germain's style, the style of this winemaker, is to have wines that are sort of like more crunchy fruit rather than ridiculously opulent ripeness. So he holds something back a little bit, and that is his preference. That's how he is. Bless you, doggy. Do you agree? But that is his style. So if you prefer your wines to be a bit more opulent in the fruit, then this guy's not for you. But I quite like that sort of restrained thing, and it goes really nicely with lamb.
With soy mushrooms. Soy mushrooms. Okay, yeah, bang in. We have an answer, so I can now talk to you a little bit about this particular grape variety, Cabernet Franc. So here's another question for you folk out there, just to see if you've been listening. I mean, you've been with us for a year now. So Cabernet Franc, here's a little love story as it's Valentine's coming up. Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc had a love child. Which grape is it?
Cabernet Franc, Sauvignon Blanc. Come on, people, you know this.
It's a cross between the two grapes, and it's a very, very well-known grape.
Yeah.
Possibly, no, actually, I'm not going to say that because it's too big a clue. Oh, no, I will, because no one ever listens anyway. It's the most widely grown grape in the entire world, this grape, which is the love child of Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc. Okay. So get thinking on that.
Okay. So in the meantime, just another point actually. So Thierry Germain, he does work organically. So remember, organics are all about non-intervention, no chemical interference, no unnecessary herbicides, pesticides, nothing. And he uses sort of biodynamic tendencies as well, which is
principles,
which is farming according to the lunar cycle as opposed to the solar cycle. I'm just going to leave it at that. If you really want to talk about biodynamics, I've got this fantastic book actually. Anybody out there who's really into it, I would lend it to them, but by pain of death, if I don't get it back, I mean, I tell you what, there would be murder.
Because I mean,
there would be a murder.
Have you seen it in the last 10 years?
I have.
Okay.
I've got it out. I have it out.
Yeah,
it's the best book ever.
I got a really good quote for biodynamics.
Yes.
Which is, because biodynamic farming doesn't just apply to wine. Everything. It's milk. It's anything. Yeah. Gardening, even.
Yeah.
And it's a spiritual, ethical, ecological approach to agriculture, gardens, food production, and nutrition. And it is like that. It's looking at the whole universe. So it's looking at the vineyard the vineyard as a whole. It's not, this is the soil that the vines grow in.
Yeah.
It's looking at it as a whole. And
Yeah.
it's a
But
very
actually,
way of farming.
if you go onto Hannibal Brown's website, hannibalbrown.com, and go to the blog pages, there are a couple of blogs that we've written over the time about biodynamic farming. So if you just want a sort of brief synopsis, that's a really good place to go.
Yeah.
But what was the thing I was going to say?
About Cabernet Franc?
So he works organically, biodynamically. Everything is done by hand.
Mm-hmm.
By hand, his poor hands. So when I talk about that,
sure he's got
everything is hand harvested. And that's really important, actually, because, when we never really talk enough about this, you've got the options between mechanical farming, which is, or mechanical harvesting, which is a machine that literally goes down the rows of vines and shakes them until all the grapes drop off.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
It can be brutal. They have kind of like mastered the art in actual fact, and it's pretty good going.
It's not a bad thing.
Really good.
Yeah.
But actually, you can't really replace sort of the deftness of a finger and thumb pulling those grapes off, or pulling those grape bunches off.
Mm-hmm.
So labor intensive, but all hand harvested, and then triaged, just like what happens when you go into your accident emergency. You get triaged. It takes hours, but
yeah, usually.
But it goes along the conveyor belt, and they pick out the good ones,
mm-hmm.
and they throw away, discard the bad ones, or the ones that maybe aren't ripe or have overripe. So really, literally, just like focusing on the best fruit ever, and that's what he does. Other things to say, actually, that this guy went biodynamic and organic 20 years ago, and his declaration is that it takes 10 years for his wines. It takes on average 10 years to see the repercussions actually come to fruition. So he didn't really see changes until sort of 2008, 2009, and that's really what got him excited. And now here we are in 2019.
Is it actually? It reminds me of something. Another little snippet, which is a really good kind of hint towards the what biodynamic farming is all about. And growing a vine, it's you feed the soil, because the soil is what the vine grows in. You don't just fertilize the plant. You feed the soil and make sure you've got really good, healthy land. Yeah. And that's why it's so wholesome and holistic, because if that land's good and healthy, then it's going to make the vines good and strong, and it all contributes to each other. So it's genuinely a really good farming practice. I also remember reading somewhere that people who are lactose intolerant have been known to be able to drink milk which is from cows which are farmed biodynamically. Yeah. Now they obviously graze on biodynamically farmed land. How a cow itself can be biodynamic, well, you probably have to borrow the book, but it's definitely there's a lot of goodness in it. There's a lot of kind of spiritual stuff. There is. This is why this tiny little book is so good. You can read volumes on it. Mind. Yeah. Yes, Cabernet Sauvignon is the answer. Well done. Very good. Well done. Here's another one for you, though, Simon and Luke, because you seem to be getting everything right. Cabernet Franc and Magdalene Noire de Charente. Who's their love child? Give that one a go. It is actually a grape that you've heard of. In fact, Cabernet Franc is the parent grape of three really quite well-known grape varieties, and the one I've just told you is another really key one. So guess. Take a guess. Yeah, take a guess. You nerdy people out there about grape varieties. If you know it because of the name, I'll be amazed. The most important thing to remember about the Loire Valley is that the chief red grape variety is Cabernet Franc. That's the home of red wine. That's the home of Cabernet Franc, the Loire Valley. And in white wine terms, the Loire Valley, it is Chenin Blanc, believe it or not, although we see a huge amount of Chenin Blanc come out of South Africa these days, particularly. I'm trying to think when else I'm not sure if there's majority. South Africans really Australia embrace Chenin Blanc. And of course, Chenin Blanc in the Loire Valley is used for pudding wines. So your Côte de Léon or your Bonzo, I always want to say Bonzo. Bonzo. Right. Also,
Bonzo.
your
Not spelled B-O-N-Z-O
it's a
though.
shame, isn't it?
Bonzo.
Also, your Vouvray, your sparkling.
Your Vouvray, and I'm actually quite embarrassed to think, in actual fact, that we don't have a Vouvray on our wine list, and we should.
2021 is the year of the Vouvray.
We really should. We should indeed. What else is there to say, actually?
Well, so a couple more things. Lucas just asked about the story of the horn and the moon. So with biodynamic, there's almost a Bible, a Bible of biodynamic farming, and you have to farm by the biodynamic calendar. And there's
you're boring the dog.
Yeah, no, it's boring as it can. Bear with me. There's a carrot here. Oh no, there's no carrot there. One of the they call them preparations within biodynamic farming. Just to give you an idea of sort of the level of there's sort of a homeopathic kind of edge to it. So one of the preparations for fertilizer is they'll take a cow's horn, and this is why it's not always vegan. Take a cow's horn and fill it with manure, and these are the cows that are just wandering up and down the vineyards. Then they bury it underground for 6 months, I believe, I think. And then they dig it up, and that is all broken down, and they'll add just like a teaspoon quantity to the end of each row of vine, and that is the fertilizer for the land. Now it sounds quite weedy beady, but actually, read about it, read the Bible, read the book.
Yeah, read the book.
And then another thing is, the farming is all to do with the planetary alignment and cycles of the moon. So the grapes are only picked and harvested when the moon's on the wane, and certain aspects of farming and pruning, etc., are only done when the moon and planets are in certain positions. So it's kind of, it sounds a bit planetary weedy, but actually there's a lot of sense in it.
And it is actually, it does sound a bit crazy, but in actual fact, it is how most farming used to be performed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there is a huge amount of truth in it. And the nice thing is in actual fact, the French have embraced it and really see the benefits of it, as have the Italians. There are still a lot of people and an awful lot of, I suppose, industry is a big sort of plays a big part in actually how things are farmed. But this movement, actually, you see the benefits of the land being looked after and the overall sort of end product being just a lot more pure and a lot just more natural.
Yeah.
So, it's
and the vineyards being healthy.
Yeah.
So you don't have to leave them to rest and to grub up the vines. Yeah. They'll keep going.
And the only problem is that you've got cows with no horns, but
But as we talk about Vegan-uary, that's a bad thing, and we're not promoting that. Yes, Simon, you're absolutely right. Merlot is the Cab Franc Magdalene Noir de Charente.
Well done.
And then Cab Franc with Gros Cabernet is
Google.
Cabernet. So well done. Full marks.
Yeah. I don't know. What I'd be interested in, I said, because just like last week, we've got two sort of very conflicting, well, not so much conflicting, but quite sort of diverse wines. And it'd be interesting to know get your feedback as to which ones you liked from last week. Last week we had the Tamar Ridge Tasmanian Sauvignon Blanc versus, was not really versus, but alongside the Whitey Weiss wine.
Totally different wines.
Totally different. They were two very dry wines for dry January. And then again this week, we'd be really appreciative if you give us some feedback. If you like them, you don't like them. It's kind of important to know what you like. So please do feel free to feedback. Remember, Facebook is out there. We do our little funny session on Friday. If you like what you see on a Friday, or indeed any day, please do share. Well, we put a little funny thing out.
Oh, I see.
Friday,
yeah. I thought we were lined up to do something. I haven't got it in my mindset. Next week,
spice up your life. Spice up your life.
So don't forget, we've got our lovely, brand new, hot off the press Croatian orange Malvasia.
Oh yeah, and don't be afraid. It may be orange, but it's not orange
really,
like
properly
it's
delicious. It's really lovely. Yeah. And definitely, if you don't do the go and mussels, do something similar and have something to nibble with it, because it's really good.
The heaviest bottle in the world.
It is a big bottle. And the Bon Courage South African Gewürztraminer, which is dry as well.
Yeah.
So those are two fab wines with. They don't have to be necessarily spicy food from a chili perspective, but spices and aromatics from kind of Asia, etc.
Yeah.
So definitely get the combination going because it really is brilliant. Finn, stop it.
Yeah.
And the week after is Turkish week, and I'm going to get the meze canapes.
Turkish delight.
Turkish delight.
Yes.
I'll get the meze canapes up there ASAP. Just as soon as I know what they are, you'll know.
Yeah.
What next? Oh, well, we have one recommendation. We decided that at each of our events on these Facebook Live, lockdown live sessions, we're going to mention a recommendation of something we or someone has recommended to us and we've tried.
Yes.
And this is
something to go and look for, everybody.
Yeah. The company are called Banquist. And what they do is they are Michelin-starred chefs who put together a menu. They'll ship you out a box with everything sort of roughly weighed and measured. You know, you might get 2 shallots and you only need a half, but basically they'll send you out all of the ingredients in boxes, and I'm going to show you a picture in a minute. And they don't use too much plastic. You know, it's all quite well put together, and it's just brilliant. And you get your YouTube link. Here we go. That's what you get. You get your menu card, all of the ingredients, your YouTube link. And you can cook along with the chef, and it's really actually really engaging. And you make really nice stuff that you can hang on. Where's the pictures?
There we go. Look at that.
That was our main course, which was a pork chop essentially, but very nice one with Jerusalem artichoke and some other bits of hazelnuts and mushrooms. Sorry, hang on. Let me just get.
I think what we're saying actually, this is a nice thing to do during lockdown, and if you're looking for things to do, just really do it. You know, when you look at the price, you think, oh, actually that's quite expensive, but reality is it's not expensive.
No, it's really great.
It's a really, really great experience. You end up with fantastic food, and you've got food for the weekend.
Yeah, we've tried 2 of them, and we will be doing more, and we just wanted to share that with you. And equally, if you guys have come across anything really good, let us know.
Share it with everybody.
Share with the group, because
so it's called Banquist. Banquist.
Yeah, really well worth it.
Yeah.
So I guess then we've nothing left to say apart from thank you everyone for joining.
I know. Can't read.
We hope you've enjoyed the wines. It's okay, I can read it.
Okay.
I'll fill you in. We hope you enjoyed the wines. I hope we've again expanded your horizons just a little bit.
Yeah, important to say actually, we are trying to bring in quite a lot of new wines in the next sort of 6 to 8 weeks. It's a little bit tricky at the moment.
Yeah,
but we have got samples coming in, so hopefully we're going to be bringing in some new stuff, and you will experience the new stuff.
Indeed, but before we go, it's very important. And Finn, pay attention. Look,
what,
Finn? We've got to give a big happy birthday to Sarah. So, Sarah, big happy birthday from Finn and Pam and myself.
Happy birthday, Sarah.
We hope you've enjoyed the wines. I know that your family, the Rohan clan, have tuned in. So, we hope you've had a great evening. We've all had birthdays in lockdown. You're probably on the second. So, I think from everyone, we wish you a big happy birthday. And that's quite a nice note to leave on.
And we should also wish Roger Grant also happy birthday this evening.
Whether he is or not here.
He's part of the Hannibal Brown clan. So, happy birthday, Roger.
And we'll see you next week, Thursday, 7 o'clock.
Don't be late. Charles, don't be late. 7 o'clock next week. Nice to see you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Lovely to see you. And it's a wrap.
Indeed. Take care, all.
Enjoy your wines.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Mm-mm.